भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Namaste, my dear friends. Today I am giving you a very important video on self enquiry, the most direct method to get self realization and liberation. Maharshi Ramana explained and described the self enquiry method in the most easiest and self explanatory way. It is explained in the form of questions and answers. Let us see what are the questions and what are the explanatory answers given by Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharshi. Disciple puts the question, how is one to realize the self? Most important question. Maharshi replied, whose self? Find out. Devotee, mine. But who am I? Maharshi, find out yourself. Devotee, I don't know how. Maharshi, just think over the question. Who is it that says, I don't know? Who is the I in your statement? What is not known? Disciple or devotee. Somebody or something in me. Maharshi, who is that somebody in whom? Devotee, perhaps some power. Maharshi, find out. Devotee, why was I born? Maharshi, who was born? The answer is the same to tell your questions. Who am devotee? Who am I then? Maharshi smiling, you have come to examine me. You must say who you are. Devotee, how much I may try, I do not seem to catch the I. It is not even clearly discernible. Maharshi, who is it that says that the I is not discernible? Are there two eyes in you that one is not discernible by the other? Devotee, instead of inquiring who am I, can I put the question to myself, who are you? Since then my body may be fixed on you, whom I consider to be God in the form of Guru. Perhaps I would be nearer the goal of my quest by that enquiry than by asking myself, who am I? Maharshi, whatever form your inquiry may take, you must finally come to the one I, the self. All these distinctions made between the I and you, master and disciple, etc., are merely a sign of one's ignorance. The I Supreme alone is to think otherwise, to delude oneself. A Puranic story of sage Ribhu and his disciple Nidagha is particularly instructive in this context. Although Ribhu taught his disciple the supreme truth of the one Brahma without a second, Nidagha, in spite of his erudition and understanding did not get sufficient conviction to adopt and follow the path of jnana, but settled down in his native town to lead a life devoted to the observance of ceremonial religion. But the sage loved his disciple as deeply as the latter venerated his master. In spite of his age, Ribhu would himself go to his disciple in the town just to see how far the latter had outgrown his ritualism. At times, the sage went in disguise so that he might observe how Nidagaha would act when he did not know that he was being observed by his master. On one such occasion, Ribu, who had put on the disguise of a village rustic, found Nidagha intently watching a royal procession. Unrecognized by the town dweller Nidaga, the village rustic inquired what the bustle was all about and was told that the king was going in procession. Oh, it is the king. He goes in procession. But where is he? Asked the rustic. There on the elephant, said Nidagha. You say the king is on the elephant. Yes, I see that too, said the rustic. But which is the king and which is the elephant? What? Exclaimed Nidagaha. You see the two, but don't know that the man above is the king and the animal below is the elephant. Where is the use of talking to a man like you? Pray, be not impatient with an ignorant man like me, begged the rustic. But you said above and below. What do they mean? Nidga could stand it no more. You see the king and the elephant, the one above and the other below. Yet you want to know what is meant by above and below, burst out Nidagaha. If things seen and words spoken can convey so little to you, action alone can teach you. Bend forward and you will know it all too well. The rustic did as he was told. Nidagaha got out on his shoulders and said, Know it now, I am above as the king. You are below as the elephant. Is that clear enough? No, not yet, was the rustic's quiet reply. You say you are above like the king, and I am below like the elephant. The king, the elephant, above and below. So far it is clear. But pray tell me what you mean by I and you. When Nidugha was thus when Nidugha was thus confronted all of a sudden with the mighty problem of defining the you apart from the I, light dawned on his mind at once. He jumped down and fell at his master's feet, saying, Who else but my venerable master Ribhu could have thus drawn my mind from the superficialities of physical existence to the true being of the self? Oh, benign master, I crave thy blessings. Therefore, while your aim is to transcend here and now these superficialities of physical existence through Atma Vichara, where is the scope for making the distinctions of you and I, which pertain only to the body? When you turn the mind within, seeking the source of thought, where is the you and where is I? You should seek and be the self that includes all. Devotee, but is it not funny that the I should be searching for the I? Does not the enquiry, who am I, turn out in the end an empty formula? Or am I to put the question to myself endlessly, repeating it like some mantra? Maharshi, self enquiry is certainly not an empty formula. It is more than the repetition of any mantra. If the enquiry, who am I, were a mere mental questioning, it would not be of much value. The very purpose of self enquiry is to focus the entire mind at its source. It is not therefore a case of one eye searching for another eye. Much less is self enquiry an empty formula, for it involves an intense activity of the entire mind to keep it steadily poised in pure self awareness. Self inquiry is the one infallible means, the only direct one to realize the unconditioned absolute being that you really are. Devotee, why should self inquiry alone be considered the direct means to jnana? Maharshi replied, because every kind of sadhana except that of Atma Vichara presupposes the retention of the mind as the instrument for carrying on the sadhana, and without the mind it cannot be practiced. The ego may take different and subtler forms at the different stages of one's practice, but is itself never destroyed. When Janka exclaimed, "Now I have discovered the thief who has been ruining me all along, he shall be dealt with summarily," the king was really referring to the ego or the mind. Devotee, but the thief may well be apprehended by the other sadhanas as well. Maharshi, the attempt to destroy the ego or the mind through sadhanas other than Atam Vichara is just like the thief assuming the guise of a policeman to catch the thief, that is himself. Atam Vichara alone can reveal the truth that neither the ego nor the mind really exists, and enables one to realize the pure, undifferentiated being of the self or the absolute. Having realized the self, nothing remains to be known because it is perfect bliss, it is the all. Devotee, in this life, beset with limitations, can I ever realize the bliss of the self? Maharshi, that bliss of the self is always with you, and you will find it for yourself if you would seek it earnestly. The cause of your misery is not in the life without, it is in you as the ego. You impose limitations on yourself and then make a vain struggle to transcend them. All happiness is due to the ego. With it comes all your trouble. What does it avail you to attribute to the happenings in life the cause of misery which is really within you? What happiness can you get from things extraneous to yourself? When you get it, how long will it last? If you would deny the ego and scourge it by ignoring it, you would be free. If you accept it, it will impose limitations on you and throw you into a vain struggle to transcend them. That was how the thief sought to ruin King Janaka. To be the self that you really are is the only means to realize the bliss that is ever yours. Devotee, not having realized the truth that the self alone exists, should I not adopt bhakti and yoga margas as being more suitable for purposes of sadhana than vichar marga? Is not the realization of one's absolute being, that is Brahmajnana, something quite unattainable to a layman like me? Maharshi replies, Brahmajnana is not a knowledge to be acquired so that acquiring it one may obtain happiness. It is one's ignorant outlook that one should give up. The self you seek to know is verily yourself. Your supposed ignorance causes you needless grief like that of the 10 foolish men who grieved the loss of the 10th man who was never lost. The 10 foolish men in the parable forded a stream and, on reaching the other shore, wanted to make sure that all of them had in fact safely crossed the stream. One of the 10 began to count, but while counting others, left himself out. I see only 9. Sure enough, we have lost one. Who can it be? He said. Did you count correctly? Asked another. And did the counting himself. But he too counted only 9. One after the other, each of the 10 counted only 9, missing himself. We are only 9, they all agreed, but who is the missing one? They asked themselves. Every missing individual failed. Whoever he be that is drowned, said the most sentimental of 10 fools. We have lost him. So saying, he burst into tears, and the rest of the 9 followed suit. Seeing them weeping on the river bank, a sympathetic wayfarer inquired for the cause. They related what had happened and said that even after counting themselves several times, they could find no more than 9. On hearing the story but seeing all the 10 before him, the wayfarer guessed what had happened. In order to make them know for themselves that they were really 10, that all of them had come safe from the crossing, he told them, let each of you count for himself, but one after the other serially, 1, 2, 3, and so on, while I shall give you each a blow so that all of you may be sure of having been included in the count, and included only once. The tenth missing man will then be found. Hearing this, they rejoiced at the prospect of finding their lost comrade and accepted the method suggested by the wayfarer. While the kind wayfarer gave a blow to each of the 10 in turn, he that got the blow counted himself aloud. 10, said the last man as he got the last blow in his turn. Bewildered, they looked at one another. We are 10, they said with one voice, and thanked the wayfarer for having removed their grief. That is the parable. From where was the 10th man brought in? Was he ever lost? By knowing that he had been there all the while. Did they learn anything new? The cause of their grief was not the real loss of any one of the 10. It was their own ignorance, rather their mere supposition that one of them was lost, though they could not find who he was because they had counted only 9. Such is also the case with you. Truly, there is no cause for you to be miserable and unhappy. You yourself impose limitations on your true nature of infinite being, and then weep that you are but a finite creature. Then you take up this or that sadhana to transcend the non-existent limitations. But if you But if your sadhana itself assumes the existence of the limitations, how can it help you to transcend them? Hence, I say, know that you are really the infinite pure being, the self absolute. You are always that self and nothing but that self. Therefore, you can never be really ignorant of the self. Your ignorance is merely a formal ignorance, like the ignorance of the ten fools about the lost tenth man. It is this ignorance that caused them grief. Know then that true knowledge does not create a new being for you, it only removes your ignorance. Bliss is not added to your nature, it is merely revealed as your true and natural state, eternal and imperishable. The only way to be rid of your grief is to know and be the self. How can this be unattainable? This is wonderful description and explanation given by Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharshi. So here I end the video. Thank you, my dear friends, for listening with patience. Please like, comment, and share the video and subscribe my channel so that I continue giving you the wonderful videos describing Advaita Vedanta as it is explained by our sages and saints like Maharshi Ramana and Paramhamsa Ramakrishna, Paramhamsa Yogananda, Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba, and many more. So thank you, my dear friends. Thank you. Namaste.